Sis, some of y'all out here flossing like your business is good, but let's be real. If that one client walked away tomorrow, you would be in trouble. And I'm talking bills late, stress sweat, eating ramen noodles kind of trouble. I said what I said. But listen, I'm not judging. If that's you, we do gotta fix it. And today's episode is your wake-up call and some real tips on how to start working on it. So let's chat. One thing about business. You gotta manage risk. It's not just about getting clients or making money. It's about making sure that no one part of your business can break the whole thing. When you're too independent or too dependent, rather, on one client, one revenue stream, or one platform, you're really building your whole business on a folding chair. It looks fine until it collapses under pressure. So today, I want to talk about client concentration risk and why it's a silent setup for cash flow crisis, and how to spread your revenue out so that no one client has you by the throat. So let's get into it. All right, so let's start with some terms because y'all know I like business language. I like us to speak the language of business. I like us to understand the language of business and to use it in Sistahbiz. And so if you haven't heard of the term client concentration risk, I want you to know it, use it, digest it. And it's basically when one client or a few clients, just a few clients, make up a big chunk of your revenue, like 40%, 60%. And I often see, especially with my consultants, even 90%. And that is dangerous. And so imagine if you own a food truck and one company buys all your lunches for employees every day, and then they get a new CFO who decides to cut costs, and boom, you're out of business and it's not because you can't cook. It's because you had no backup plan in terms of your clients. And this happens a lot with my consultants and my coaches, my freelancers, and my B2B service businesses. You land that one big contract, and now you're riding real comfortable until you're not. And so what I see and how founders get in this place in the first place is it kind of starts off a lot of times. It's not always the scenario, but a lot of times you landed a big contract or a big client by chance or referral. And that's kind of how your business was even launched. Or early on in the business, you got that large client. And so from there, you never build a pipeline, a sales pipeline, and you never figure out how to build a dependable sales pipeline. And sometimes you're so busy serving that one client that there's literally no time to find other clients, or you don't make the time. But that's exactly how you build that trap for yourself. And and so some of you are like in the place where you're like it's a time issue, but then a lot of y'all are really that's either an excuse or procrastination because you actually are in your comfort zone. You hate sales. You don't really want to do the cold outreach if you don't have to. And so that one client really keeps you comfy, so you don't have to market or hustle for more clients. And again, when you're in that position where the money is coming in, it's all good. But let me tell you why it's not sustainable. You are literally one client away from a breakdown. No joke. Like if that client leaves, you might not make payroll or things will become very tight. And sis, markets are unpredictable. So are organizations. Clients go through leadership changes all the time, budget cuts, mergers, none of which you can control. Right now, we're in a recession. You can't control that. Your contracts can disappear overnight. And so you really want to do the best that you want to set your business up in the best ways to be able to have safety nets. And also you just can't scale or you can't scale or sell your business if you're in that position because a business that's dependent on one client is not attractive to investors or buyers. So if you ever want to get out of the business, that's problematic. All right, so let's talk about how you start to work toward fixing client concentration risk because it's not something that you do overnight. Um, it's something that you look at and you say, okay, I know I'm in this position now. What does it look like to redesign my business model, my offers over time so that I don't have this problem? And for some of you, it's a easier lift than for others, depending on your business model and your market. But this is how you fix it. First and foremost, the name of the game is diversification. So really having a diverse set of client segments or revenue streams will help increase your peace of mind, lower risk, and increase your valuation in a business. So I want you to remember this. You need whales and minnows. Whales are those big clients. Great money, long contracts. Sometimes they can be a headache and a lot to manage, but nonetheless, they bring the big money, so they sometimes bring the big problems. But you got your whales, who are those big clients. That's government agencies, that's corporations, those sorts of things. Um, you got your minnows, and those are your smaller contracts. Less money, more variety, but less risk and more flexibility. And so those are your small businesses and that sort of thing. And so your goal is that when you think about the whale portion of your business, some of you have all minnows, some of you have all whales, some of you have a whale minnow mix. And a whale minnow mix is a solid pathway to go. But regardless, no one whale should make up more than 30 to 40% of your revenue, period. And there's other areas where you should be thinking about diversifying as well. And so if you have only B2B clients, maybe think about over time adding in B2C clients. So business to customer offers. If you have only retail and in-person offers, maybe you start building out e-commerce and online services. We saw that with Target when Target did the boycott due to their DEI withdrawal. A lot of our Black businesses were in the Target stores, and their products were in Target stores on Target shelves. And they were trying to figure out how were they going to make it if the Black business withdrew their dollars and support from these stores. And how were they going to make it if Target was going to suffer revenue-wise and end its programs and all the things? Well, the Black businesses that actually had e-commerce up, running, and strong, or really were setting the stage and really building out their e-commerce already, were in a less dangerous position than the others. Now, to be fair, like that, I mean, the e-commerce often the e-commerce success was nowhere near the volume of the Target success, but a lot of them had a foundation where they had a clientele that they were selling to that they could even move their retail business to. And so just thinking about that mix of in-person and online services is another way to diversify your revenue streams. And then I hesitate to say this, but I'm going to say this with a disclaimer or with the added kind of element for you to consider, but you can add other products like digital products, templates, memberships, so that you can reduce dependency on any one check. But the reason why I hesitated is because I don't want you to start thinking you're going to start building all these different streams tomorrow. And I don't want you to get overwhelmed thinking that you have to have all those things in place right now. You want to really make sure that what you have right now is working. And then when it's up working in turnkey, that you're building in other streams, starting with one, building it, optimizing it, managing it well. The reason I say start with one is because more than likely you're a micro business or a solopreneur. You don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of capacity. You don't have a lot of help or team. And so you don't want to get overwhelmed building out too many revenue streams at once. So this is really a long-term view. This is your CEO vision for how to over time reduce risk. It's not something I'm thinking you would do tomorrow, but it's important nonetheless for you to not get comfortable and stay in the position you're in without planning for the future. Markets will change. Situations can change overnight, and over time they are more than likely going to change. And so you want to just have your ducks in a row to always be thinking ahead. Building that safety net. All right, so if you're feeling this is the time for me to give you a little bit of homework. Pull your last 12 months of revenue and look at where the money came from. And if one client is your lifeline or just a couple, it's time to shift. You did not start this business to be somebody's employee without the benefits. I said what I said. So let's get you working on diversification and protecting your bag and building a business that can stand and not one that crumbles when the tides change. If this episode had you side-eyeing your client list or clutching your QuickBooks, that's good. That means it's time for you to move different. So managing client concentration risk is grown woman CEO business. And if you want help doing this type of work, building smarter, more secure revenue streams, that's the type of work we're doing inside of the Sistahbiz membership. So make sure you check us out at Sistah.biz. You do not have to figure it out alone. We definitely have the tools, the coaches, and the strategy and the community all built for Black women entrepreneurs by Black women entrepreneurs. And if you're feeling this episode in this podcast, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another boss friend who needs to hear it. Until next time, keep it smart, keep it sustainable, and as always, I said what I said.